Hello lovely sewing friends, I hope you guys are doing very well. I am somewhat tired because I've just woken up from an 1.5 hour nap because beauty sleep, it's important. Don't miss it, do it, you should. Cheers, this is water. Anyway, hi, my name's Annie, and if you're new here, hello and welcome. If you're not, you already knew that. Anyway, I am just wanting to get on here and actually reintroduce myself because it has come to my attention that I am now the #1 most followed sewing social media account in the world. And I find that somewhat funny, right? Because I never set out to achieve that. It's merely just a result of what I do and what I love. So for those of you who don't know, I have an Instagram account called Ford Wardrobe, which is my business essentially. So my main, this is like a reintroduction. So let me just take you guys all the way back. So I started sewing when I was 9 years old, right? I watched the movie The Parent Trap, and there's a scene in there where like they're trying on wedding dresses and everything, and I was like, this is it, this is exactly what I want to do with the rest of my life. And then this is the time when what's it called, the fashion runway show, oh gosh, Project Runway, when that was a big thing. And so I just got into sewing, and I really enjoyed it. And now, fast forward 20 years later, I'm the most followed Instagram account, social media account in the world for sewing. And that is a little bit crazy considering how it all started. But I kind of want to take you guys through where we're at currently. So, my day-to-day looks very different from a regular 29-year-old because I'm 29, turning 30 this year. And that's like a very grown-up age. So I just want to kind of tell you guys how it's gotten to this point, because the past 5 years is where I really put things into action. Because, I learned how to sew when I was a kid, little projects. And this is actually one of my first ever sewing projects. It's my little case that I use for all of my cables now, but you got to start somewhere. And basically I want to take you guys through what I've learned and the mindset. I think the biggest thing is the mindset shift that I had to have to go from thinking that this was like a little side hustle to my job that I do now as regular income as a waitress. That is now my side hustle. This is my main hustle. Because I have a lot of opinions about it, okay? So, and the good thing about YouTube is that I can just put my opinions here and you guys can't really disagree with me in real time. So I'm just gonna go with it. And hopefully you guys can relate or disagree, if not, or if so, in the comments if you want. So I started out sewing when I was 9. I got my first ever sewing machine, did lots of sewing throughout middle school and high school, got to high school, and I was in the running for a fully paid scholarship to do fashion design, which is something I was like, I'm definitely doing this. A scholarship would help me out so much. And then there was a mistake in my bibliography in my portfolio. And so I lost that opportunity to be in the running for this scholarship. So that was one of my first ever big knocks of confidence, more than anything, because as soon as you do something like that and you miss out on a big opportunity, you really question whether this is something you want to pursue. And then I remember my sister, I found out I was out of the running for that scholarship, and then my sister came and picked me up because I wasn't allowed to drive myself back home because I was about 17, 18 at this time. So I had my driver's license. So my sister came and picked me up. I got home and I remember I was like quiet the entire weekend. And my dad asked me to write down a list of all the other jobs that I could potentially do that weren't fashion design or sewing related. And I think I put down like hairdresser or vet or something. Nothing really like substantial, essentially. And I think I entertained the idea of these other potential careers just for his benefit, really. But I was like, no, like I'm meant to be doing this. I think that's the big overriding thing, was I knew from such a young age that I was meant to be doing this. I was meant to be doing exactly what I'm doing at this time in my life and going forward. I always knew. So having that definitive sense of self and confidence to go, no, this blow, it's a speed bump. And like I just moved past it. And so what that resulted in me doing was taking a gap year, working throughout that gap year 4 different jobs to save enough money to pay for my own way through university, because I didn't want to come out of university with a student loan. And yes, that may not be the case for everyone. I had to sacrifice a lot for that. I took a gap year. I didn't go traveling everywhere. No, I worked, like I said, 4 jobs. I saved enough money for my first year of university. Then I worked my first year to pay for my second, third, fourth. And it meant that I didn't have to take a student loan for my education. I did live at home. I haven't had a holiday for over a decade, right? And that, I think, just shows you how much I had to sacrifice to get to where I am now, because who I am now is a direct result of the actions I did 10 years ago. So because I didn't take out a student loan meant that I could, reinvest every dollar that I had made or didn't make in Ford. Because I'll tell you the truth, Ford didn't make money. So I started it so I got out of high school, $56 in my bank account, but no student loan. So I managed to do my own thing, start up Ford in 2019. And I think 2019 is when I got the domain for fordwardrobe.com. Check it out. And I actually I paid for the domain and I paid for all of the, membership and everything for that Squarespace account. But I think that first year I lost money. Of course I did, because I didn't have any sellable products on my website. And 2019 was just a bad year personally for me. And then 2019, I made a lot of life changes. And I was like, this is definitely my year to get going on all of this. And then COVID hit. But then 2020, 2021, I had stashed quite a bit of cash. So I built up my personal finances. And in 2021, I released my first ever sewing pattern, which is like this little bucket hat. And I still wear these all the time. So I released my first ever sewing pattern. And I loved the process of designing and, illustrating a sewing pattern. My God, it was a lot of work. So I did that. And that actually made me, due to a conflict of interest, I had to leave my previous job, which I found quite funny, because at the time I kept on saying to them, it's in the same industry, I kept on giving them all these great ideas about how to elevate the social media presence, how to get people more involved in sewing, how to get all of that into this business. And they essentially, long story short, they said, no, you're a shop girl, stay a shop girl. And so I decided to leave because they also said to me, you can't be releasing sewing patterns whilst working here. So I was like, okay, cool, I'm leaving. And then I went and scooped ice cream for a year and a half before coming to Melbourne. And during that year and a half, I took my social media from 1,000 to 20,000 followers. And 20,000 followers in New Zealand is like really, really impressive, even though at the time I didn't really, 20,000 was like my first like little insight to what I'm doing was, it's proof of concept essentially. So I then moved to Melbourne, and then when I arrived in Melbourne and I moved into this apartment that I'm at now, I said to myself, Annie, like, you can't keep saying you want this to be a full-time thing if you keep on acting like it is not your full-time thing. So I had a real serious talk with myself. I got a whiteboard. I set a whole bunch of goals for myself. And for the space of like 2 months, I'm not even say 2 months, I would say a month and a half, 5-6 weeks, I really, really knuckled down, and I was just obsessed with where I wanted to take this. And in that time, one of the goals was I needed to post something on Instagram every single day. And then I posted something on January 11th that eventually took me from 20,000 followers to 250,000, so 250,000. And that was like my first big like, wow, like social media is so powerful and it really moves the needle. So again, another proof of concept. And then I was trying to do a bunch of things with my Instagram and experiment and like get sponsors, but that really wasn't working out. So then like I had to just essentially keep on pivoting, keeping in mind whilst I'm doing this all alone, but also I was doing this while working 35 hours a week in hospitality, mainly working the nights. So I'd have the days to myself to work on Ford, and then the nights I would go off and work in hospitality. And so I was working, genuinely, I probably worked 75 to 80 hours a week, minimum, right? And that became my new normal. And I managed to stay at that kind of capacity for about 2-3 years now. It's my normal. So it doesn't feel like I'm going above and beyond. And it's all like pretty intense work, but it's all manageable. And then in 2024, we'll stay in 2023. Yeah, 2023. I posted another video, and that took me from 250,000 to 750,000. So one video got me 250,000. The other video got me 500,000 followers. So a really big increase, obviously. But I was still struggling to monetize, and I was still having to work hospitality. And so fast forward another year, I started 2024. I finally found a co-working space and ended up going there during the days and then still working the evenings. But that allowed me to be around like-minded people, get new perspectives on things. And essentially, I felt like I had mini partners in my business because, we would talk about things and we would discuss things, and then they would all kind of pitch in their kind of opinion on things. So I could kind of pick and choose what would work best for my business. Also in that year, I started to get sponsorships. I also started to get, I released the Beginner's Guide to Sewing, which was my first online course. I also released ebooks and whatnot. So within last year was the most profitable year for Ford financially. But the way I kind of work is, this isn't about the money. The money merely allows me to do more things, right? So at the moment, I'm currently still working 3 days a week as a waitress, which is cool. Like I enjoy it for the time being, but I'm only going to be there for like another 2 months. Don't tell anyone. And I have some really big plans happening for this year that I'm so excited about, because it's something that like I kind of owe myself. I really owe myself, right? So I'm planning to do a bit of a move this year. And with that comes so many more opportunities, because my goal from day dot with my business was for it all to be online so that I can work from essentially anywhere in the world. You know, I don't have to worry about a product. I don't have to worry about, you know, a lease on an office building. You know, there are so many more ways to do business than what I was taught 10 years ago in high school and university, because things are changing so quickly now. And like 5 years ago, we couldn't even dream of AI and ChatGPT, whereas now it's like, it's difficult for us to tell the difference. So that's what I love about my business and what I do essentially, is because I don't have to, apart from the sewing community, I don't have to be accountable to anyone else. You know, I don't have a boss, I don't have a manager. It's all on me. And this is the thing, is that like, yes, it's great that I can pick and choose my own work hours. And it's like, okay, you can pick and choose your own work hours, but you have to work 75, 80 hours a week. Go on. Pick and choose your work hours. So at the end of the day, it's all on me. You know, the business's finances are on me. My personal finances are on me. My living arrangements are on me. My health is on, like, I've got no one else living with me or working with me that has a stake in what I do. It's all me, right? So I think that's why Ford has grown at a slower pace. But now 2025 is really where the compound interest really starts to kick in, because this year there are going to be so many like life altering improvements that I've been preparing for the past like 5 years. For example, I would always listen to podcasts and, you know, YouTube videos about founders and CEOs and all that. And I would always listen to like what they wish that they had done differently in the earlier years. And one of them was all about hiring people. Now, I'm of the mindset of nobody else can do this better than I can do this, because I care so much about this. But what I found is that it's actually at a detriment to myself as a person and also Ford as a business for me to do everything myself. So on Thursday, I hired my first ever employee for Ford Wardrobe. Her name's Abby. She'll be doing a whole bunch of social media stuff with me. She's such a lovely girl. I actually work with her. And a year ago, somebody asked me if I was to hire anyone to help me with Ford Wardrobe, who would it be? And I said her immediately. So I think it's all about reacting to situations when they come up, right? Because if somebody, like, I even had it as a goal for this year to hire someone to help me with the business, but that was scheduled for like September, October. But it just so happens that the perfect opportunity presented itself for me to do it now. And also that will help me so much going throughout the rest of this year. And I want to be able to, I think working in hospitality and retail for the past 10 years has taught me how you want to be treated in a business, right? I worked at some terrible places, right? Where you weren't appreciated, you weren't paid well, the conditions were crap. So now, like, you know, there's been some places that I've been at where you wouldn't be paid for coming in for additional training or new upgrades in the business or anything. Like, you wouldn't be paid for your time. And it's like, no. When I train or upgrade the skill level of the people I'm hiring, they will be paid for their time. They're not doing this for fun. They're doing this because I've asked them to be at that place at that time to do that task. So they will be paid. Like on their birthday, they're getting a birthday present. They're not just getting a text, you know? I want Ford to be so much more than just a business that sells a product like an ebook or a course. It has to be so much more than that, because it is so important to me that it stands for something. It has to be beyond what I am capable of. And this year is going to be so great. And so, a little bit of a ramble, a little bit of a sneak peek, but I'm really excited for this year, and I hope you guys are too. And you know, like a year ago, I started my YouTube channel and we're nearly at 10K followers, subscribers. And that's mainly from the shorts, but hopefully these videos do really well and you guys get to know a bit more about me and what I'm working on. Fun fact, Abby may also be working on these YouTube videos soon, so you may see her little artistic flair come through. But yes, I actually have to go to work and I'm sweating already. My God, it is muggy here in Melbourne. So I will love you, leave you, live, laugh, love, and learn to sew. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.